Also coming up on tonight's show. Now then, she served up culinary delights to everyone from Cameron Diaz to Dame Judi Dench. Superstar chef Mary-McCartney will be telling us how cooking for Hollywood doesn't always go to plan.
It does not. And he's met the Mexican mafia and visited the world's most feared prisons. But no matter where in the world you go, a lot going on there.
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not either. I think that's the whole thing, though. I think people are a little bit unsure.
Yeah,
You know,
we'll see.
We'll let it play out. ...
Yeah.
Right, let's say hello to tonight's guest. The first won an Emmy for playing Dr. Jeffrey in the medical drama Chicago Hope and starred as a no-nonsense CIA agent in the hit series Homeland.
The second is a superstar chef who's cooked for most of Hollywood.
And joining them is an actor and BAFTA-winning documentary maker. So please welcome Mandy Patinkin, Mary McCartney and Ross Kemp. Welcome all.
Welcome,
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Happy Monday to you all. We have to start, Mary, with you and the fact that the Beatles obviously have released their last single Now and Then. I mean, last week it was such an honour for us to play that film on the One Show for the first time. And apparently you and your dad, Sir Paul, watched it.
We did watch it, yeah.
What was the chat between you?
Well, it was interesting because I didn't know it was coming out last week when they were kind of working on it over the last year. So I was actually cooking dinner at home and Dad came back from the studio and he puts this little speaker on the table and he makes a cocktail, I make dinner. And then he said, he told me the story that's in the documentary. He said, we have this last song. And I think it didn't really work until Peter Jackson, you know, being able to separate the voice and the piano. And I didn't know about it. He just said, do you want to hear it? And he played it. And I was just, you know, like everybody.
Very emotional.
I was just so emotional. It's so meaningful and deep and important and beautiful. So, yeah, I'm super proud.
That sounds lovely, that, doesn't it? One making cocktails, one making food.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll have a bit of that.
Yeah.
My daughter-in-law's her first name is Lennon, named after John, and my first grandson, who's 21 months old, yesterday, his name is Jude.
Oh, my goodness.
So we
See the inspiration.
we are indebted to your family.
We've got the right selection of guests here.
He knows a lullaby he needs to be sung every single
well, he'll
night.
get a little tired of the song, I'm sure, after a while, but we're very grateful for that legacy.
Mary, I want to talk to you kind of about food, about your cookbook, and you've got some great stories in there and stuff. Now, I hear you recently cooked what you call a creamy green pasta dish, right? So for Sir Paul and Ringo, who come round to eat it. I mean, what are they like when they get together? Is it just like story after story?
Well, with the cookbook, it was sort of like they don't live in the same city. Ringo lives in California, Dad's in England. So I interviewed Ringo for the Abbey Road documentary I directed, and Dad was in town. So I was like, right, next Tuesday, come over. I'm making lunch. And Ringo famously is allergic to onions and garlic.
Wow.
So as a food-obsessed person...
Narrows it down a bit,
Well, yeah, and I'm obsessed with food, so I'm like, what do you like, what do you not like? So, yeah, I made this big... And I love family style, so I made the big pasta dish. But as you're saying, when they get together, it's just like brothers coming back together. It's just like they have this own little language. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous book, and the recipes in it are lovely. It's a vegetarian cookbook. What do you want to say about the book?
It's called Feeding Creativity because basically it merges my two passions. I'm a professional photographer and I'm ambassador for Meat Free Monday, and I love sharing recipes. So basically for about 2 years, everybody creative that I came across, whether it was through work or I got somebody's email, somebody I admired, or through directing, I would say, can I bring you some food as well? So George Lucas is in it because I interviewed him for the documentary, or Dame Judi Dench is in it because I bumped into her in a restaurant and went up and was like, can I come and bring you something to eat? David Hockney is in it, lots of artists. Sir Peter Blake, it kind of started with Sir Peter Blake because I collaborate with him and I know his little kitchen in his studio. So, yeah, it's just me taking a recipe to somebody creative that I admire, taking a portrait of them, writing an anecdote, sharing the recipe, and doing a food photo. So it's a lot of work.
What is your dad's favourite meal?
He loves home cooking. He's a big fan of eggplant parm and salads. I like to make sort of centerpiece. Like we love a roast dinner.
Right.
So like Yorkshire puddings, roast. He likes to carve.
Is there a childhood meal that his mom made him that he loves more than anything?
So with the usually the way we do it is Dad plays some music on his speakers, and then he makes a cocktail, and then I like to cook. And
I like the
he
cocktail
loves
bit.
the margarita, and then we make Yorkshire puddings. But his mum would always we have them with loads of red wine gravy and things like that. But
Lovely.
his mum would always give them to him with
Jam.
no, with golden syrup.
Yeah,
So
I've had them as a
say
sweet as well.
Yorkshire
Yeah.
pudding for him
Have
for
you?
the
Yeah, I
end
have.
with. Yeah,
Is
so I,
garden
that
syrup
is
like maple syrup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind
no,
of,
it's like more
treacly.
sugar. Yeah.
More sugar.
Treacly. Yeah. I mean, the lovely thing about the book, as you said, I mean, you take a picture of all these different people in their kitchen.
Well, at their studio,
Yeah,
on
all
set, everywhere.
sorts.
It's a real adventure.
But we did wonder who's got the best
Alex wondered.
kitchen.
yeah.
Alex wondered.
Well, I
Yeah.
wondered. In terms of, you know, equipped, good
Yeah.
space to cook.
Well, that has to be Stanley Tucci.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Good old
Yeah,
Stanley,
he
of
literally,
course.
and what happens was I'd turn up, it was really casual, I'd turn up just with my camera and a bag of food, and with him I actually cooked it in his kitchen because I knew he'd have the most incredible kitchen. It's like, can I have a saute pan? It's like, which one? It's like just amazing. But actually it was quite funny because he opened a really nice bottle of white wine and I almost forgot to take his picture for the book. I got really carried away. I was like, this is
What
really
about
nice.
what about the most awkward? And I don't mean that in like a horrible way, but it's a bit like what you said with Ringo. Like if he's allergic to onions
Yeah,
and garlic,
yeah.
that's a tough start,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I quite like a challenge like that, though. But, yeah, probably the most awkward in a really humorous way was Dame Judi Dench, because she sent an email saying, you'll probably regret having invited me to be in your book, and had a whole list of the things that she didn't like. But accidentally, I made her an apple tart that's in the book.
Okay.
But then when I was travelling down, I was like, I'm going to whip up a quick minestrone, because I wanted to take a whole lunch. And I put carrots in it, and when I arrived, I could see her expression. I was like, hang on, carrots weren't on the list. And she was like, I think we forgot. But it was a really funny story. It was because when she was a kid, somebody cut into a carrot and she thought the inside looked like bones. And so from then on, she hasn't liked carrots.
That
So
put her off it.
again, quite, you know, this book has been an interesting array of reasons of why people like food.
But did she like the apple tart?
Oh my God, she inhaled it.
That's what we
Yeah,
like.
see,
That's what we like.
Inhaled it. We had it with a little glass of champagne, the
Nice.
apple tart, yeah.
That sounds great. Then.
Did you bring one with you here?
You know what? I was going to. I was
Next
going
time,
to.
Mary.
Mary,
I'll
yeah, that
bring
would have
you
been
some
nice.
when I'm going to need to come and see your production.
Oh, I
so
would
I'll
love
bring
that.
you something to the stage door.
Great.
Sounds good.
Very
Thank you
nice.
very much, Mary. And you can get a copy of Mary McCartney's Feeding Creativity right now.
Still to come tonight, Ross Kemp reveals the scariest moment of his career.
By 3 other families. And we stayed there for 2 terms. Do you know why? Because we were lazy, smelly drumsticks.
Wow.
So then I segue from that to being in a safe house in Libya, in Brak, about 200 miles south of the capital, Tripoli. And Marta, who I work with, she'd been put in a safe house. She'd been put into the woman's room. The woman wasn't there. The husband and the father of the kids, we found out later, was a people trafficker. But she said, come and have a look at this. And I said, I can't go in that room. She said, come and have a look at this. So she pulls open a drawer, and there are pink knickers in it. And I say, Marta, they're really nice, but I'm not going to be able to get into those. And she said, no, underneath the knickers. And underneath the knickers were 8 Mills grenades. Hand grenades, the kind of pineapple throw you. And I said, OK, Marta. And then she pushed that back, and then she pulled out the drawer with the bras in. And underneath the bras were 4 RPG warheads.
Oh, my word.
So we knew where we were at that point. So that's the way the book works. It doesn't work like
Yeah.
I was born here, I did this and I did that. It sort of hops around my life.
Yeah.
Then I ended up in a play because a football player said to me, we're short a few guys. What do you think? I said, yeah, it sounds cool. So I went over, and I ended up in this play. And this wonderful man named Bob Condor, who, you know, did pro bono work with the drama department, said something very beautiful. We were doing a play called Carousel, and he asked us all, what's this play about? And we raised our hands. It's about a guy who makes a mistake, about a guy who gets a second chance, about a guy, about a guy, about a guy. And like a wonderful teacher, we were sitting here and he was there, and he said, I think you're right. I think it's about all those things. He said, but I also think it's about something else. He said, I think it's about if you love someone, tell them. And at that moment, I had wonderful parents that said wonderful things around the dinner table. I went to the synagogue every Friday and Saturday morning and heard the rabbis make many wonderful sermons. But I never heard anything I connected with so purely. And I thought, if this thing called theater talks like that, I'm going to hang out. And it became my life.
And you love singing songs by the late Stephen Sondheim.
Yes, and many others, yeah.
And he came to see you, didn't he?
Yes.
And he was moved to tears.
Yes, I did an album that I worked on for a while called Celebrating Sondheim. I just exhausted my nerves. And on, I guess, the last night, I just said, he's not coming. And sure enough, that's when he was there. He came with Mia Farrow. And I went in my dressing room, and I didn't know he was there. And my wife was there with some other friends and said, Steve's in the restroom, and he wants to see you alone first. So everybody was held off in the hall. And then I said, okay. And I went, oh, my God, he was here. And I was actually relaxed for once in my life. And he walked in, and we were alone. And then he just wept and fell into my arms.
Wow.
And the two of us were crying because he gave me my musical life. He wrote everything I would write if I could write. He's like Shakespeare. He turns the darkness, as so many gifted musicians, into light for us all.
Wow.
And I wanted to give him the gift of what I put together more than anyone in the world, and I was able to give it to him. And so nothing can compare to that moment professionally.
Well, you can watch Mandy Patinkin live in concert at the Lyric Theatre in London from tomorrow until the 19th of November. We have run out of time. We have got lots of chatterboxes on the sofa. Lovely. And thank you so much.
Lauren and Ronan are back tomorrow with actor Adrian Lester and Strictly's Ellie and Vita. Have a great evening. Good night.
Goodbye. Bye.